Hi, welcome back to Apache Kafka for beginners from zero to hero. And in this week's video, we are going to talk about some of the internals of Kafka. We will have a look at brokers, producers, and consumers. Now, before we jump into this video, in case if you have not subscribed to the ITversity YouTube channel, please consider doing so and also click on the bell icon so that you will be notified whenever we come up with any such tech content. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's see what is Kafka, right? So far we understood that Kafka acts like a middleman to help you exchange messages in real time between systems, right? But to do that in a production scenario, it needs to have a lot of capabilities because millions of messages might come in. Now, it's not very small, right? And it should not lose the messages, and it has to be secure, and so on and so forth. So let's see whether Kafka meets all of these things, right? Now, these are the core points you need to understand about Kafka. Starting from the first point, it is a distributed publish-subscribe system. Now, that's the technical definition. Kafka is called a pub-sub or a publish-subscribe system. Or another way to talk about Kafka is it is a message queue. It's a distributed message queue. So what is this message queue or publish subscribe system? So these are systems which will help you to transfer messages in real time between other systems or events in real time. Like in case of our example, the logs are coming continuously in real time from the web server, and you have to like push it into the Spark or visualization tool. So that's called a publish subscribe system or a messaging system. Now, an interesting point here is Kafka is distributed. What does that mean? Distributed typically means when you set up Kafka, you set it up as a cluster using more than one machine. So what typically organizations do is, depending on the amount of messages they are receiving, if they expect or if they anticipate millions of messages, they may be probably using 2, 5, 10, I don't know, hundreds of machines inside a Kafka cluster, right? So Kafka is highly scalable and it is distributed. That means it is not just one machine handling all this. Even if you have 100 machines, they work like a single system to manage the load. The second most important point is Kafka is open source. So the original project in LinkedIn, when they created, they gave it to Apache Software Foundation. So Kafka became open source. And this is the official website of Kafka, which is nothing but kafka.apache.org, right? So it is completely open source. That means you can download the source code for free, modify it, and etc., right? But there is also this company called Confluent where you will get a licensed version of Kafka. And I will talk about Confluent in one of the upcoming videos, right? But just understand that the original Kafka is open source and absolutely free. And Kafka is mostly written in Scala and parts in Java. So Scala is a very powerful language. So the source code of Kafka, if you look at it, you can see it is written in Scala mostly and some in Java. Now, performance, scalability, and durability are very important to Kafka. So when you talk about performance, Kafka gives you very high throughput. Because if millions of messages are coming in and then the downstream systems have to receive them in real time, then you have to rely on very high throughput. That means billions of messages can be consumed in real time. And if your cluster size is adequate, Kafka can do magic, right? So Kafka gives you very high performance, and there are some metrics related to that which you can check it out. And Kafka is highly scalable. Like I said, it is typically installed in a cluster and you can add more and more machines and the framework will automatically scale. And Kafka is also durable. Now, one question that you might have in your mind is that, okay, does Kafka store your data or not? For example, if you look at this picture, the web server may be sending the data to Kafka cluster and Spark is receiving the data. Fine. But does Kafka store a copy of your data? Yes, it stores. So by default, the open source Kafka stores all the messages for 1 week and then it will be gone. You can change this time, but the default is 1 week. So Kafka machines are going to store all the messages that are coming in on their hard disk, and that is 100% durable. You are not going to lose your data. But a mistake that many people do is they think Kafka as a storage platform, which is absolutely incorrect. Kafka is not a storage platform. It can store your data temporarily for some time, but you have to consume it. Anyway, so there is performance, there is scalability, there is durability. Durability means you're not going to lose your data. It can stay for whatever retention time that you have mentioned. And Kafka is popular and secure. More than 80% of Fortune 500 companies run Kafka, and mostly you will find Kafka as an open source choice for most of the data engineering projects that you work on. So it is pretty popular, and Kafka also has its own security measures. So whatever data that you are sending to Kafka and receiving from Kafka can be encrypted, it can be secured. So it offers security as well. And there is fault tolerance as well. So what is this fault tolerance aspect? I will explain that in one of the upcoming video, but the idea is this. If I'm sending some data to Kafka, it goes to a machine. Now what if that machine crashes? Will I lose my data? Or will I lose my data in mid-air? Will it vanish into thin air? Not exactly. So Kafka has built-in fault tolerance, and there will be multiple copies of your events or messages. You are not going to lose your data if you configure everything properly. And the last point is runs anywhere that you think about, that you can think about. In the sense, you can install Kafka on premise, like you can set up Kafka inside your company by combining some servers. You can run Kafka on virtual machines. You can run Kafka on containers. You can run Kafka on cloud. It literally runs anywhere. All it requires is some sort of a compute and storage, right? And most of these cloud providers, for example, AWS, GCP, and Azure, they offer a completely managed solution for Kafka. So if you go to AWS or Amazon Web Services, they have a fully managed Kafka solution. That means Amazon is going to manage everything related to the Kafka cluster, like the storage, the cluster size, scaling, security, everything. You just worry about sending and receiving data. Or if you do not think that is a good idea, you want more control, then you can set up Kafka by yourself on Amazon or any other cloud provider by taking a bunch of machines. And one last point before we wrap up is that Kafka facilitates real-time and batch communication. What does that mean? If you look at this picture, the use case we were discussing so far is that, okay, the web server is sending some data in real time, and then Spark is receiving the data in real time. Fine. But what if I don't want the data in real time? That's also possible. For example, the web server may send some data to Kafka, and Kafka can store it, and you can go back to Kafka at any point in time and ask for the data. In fact, you can even specify from what point you would like to receive the data. You probably do not want to read the whole data. You can say from this particular point, I would like to read the data. So mostly when we look at data engineering projects, Kafka is used as a real-time data ingestion platform. But I just want to clarify that you can also use Kafka as a batch system. Not typically a batch system. My point is like Kafka can store your messages, and you can come back at a later point in time and get those messages. So I hope it is clear what is Kafka, what are its capabilities, and so on and so forth. Now we will also discuss some more important points related to Kafka. For example, there is the idea of topics, brokers, partitions. So you need to have a basic idea about them before we jump into the hands-on with Kafka. So that's all for this lesson. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video, and if you love this video, please click on the like button and share it with your friends who might benefit from watching this video. And let us know what do you think about this video in the comments, and check out the entire Apache Kafka from Zero to Hero beginner series, the entire playlist, so that you can learn everything about Kafka.